I know, Starfire Protocol was nerfed hard, and everyone's saying it's dead. But I disagree, and I'm going to prove that to you in this video. Now, Starfire Protocol was overpowered for a long time, and Warlocks are basically required to use it during DPS phases. But then Bungie nerfed it pretty hard. But they really only nerfed its DPS potential. It's still a great choice for endgame PvE content. So let's take a look. Starfire Protocol's exotic perk says that you get another fusion grenade charge and extra recharge from empowered weapon damage. And defeating targets with fusion grenades grants rift energy. So every grenade kill you get fully recharges your rift, and with the mods we're going to run, you're going to be spamming your grenades, which means infinite rifts. Another reason that this build is so strong is due to a seasonal mod called Monochromatic Maestro. This gives your weapons a damage buff when using a matching ability to damage an enemy, and vice versa. It's a 10% buff for 5 seconds, but it can constantly refresh. Looking at our abilities, there's a very important aspect that kind of carries this build, and that's Touch of Flame. This aspect makes your fusion grenades explode twice, which is a big boost to their damage. I also run Heat Rises since it allows you to consume your grenade and give you and your allies a cure buff for a small heal. But you can run Icarus Dash if you want, it really is up to you. For fragments, I run Ember of Tempering so my solar weapon kills give me increased recovery, and while it's active, all solar weapon kills create a fire sprite, which gives us more grenade energy. That also leads us into our next fragment, Ember of Mercy. This gives you and nearby allies restoration when you revive someone, but what we care about is the second part, which says that picking up a fire sprite grants restoration. Next we have Ember of Torches, which makes you and nearby allies radiant when you use an empowered melee. I always run this since it's a free 25% damage buff. And finally we have Ember of Empyrean, which extends restoration and radiant when you get a solar weapon or ability kills. So as long as you keep spamming those grenades, you can keep those buffs going. And now for the mods that you want to use. I'll also include a dim link in the description. Now for the helmet, I always like to run Heavy Ammo Finder. That way I basically never run out of heavy ammo. You can also run Heavy Ammo Scout if you're not playing solo. That way any bricks that you generate are also generated for your teammates. I also run Solar Siphon to help generate even more orbs. For arms, I run Firepower to generate orbs with my grenades, and since Starfire Protocol gives you extra grenade energy, you're going to be generating a lot of orbs with this mod. And because you're going to be throwing a lot of grenades, I also run Momentum Transfer. This gives me melee energy anytime my grenade damages an enemy. And I want to have my melee up as much as possible to benefit from Ember of Torches, which I mentioned earlier. That way I'll almost always have Radiant going. And finally, I run Grenade Kickstart for even more fusion grenades. Now for chest armor mods, the only mod that I always run is Charged Up. All the other mods just depend on the resistances that you're going to need in whatever activity you're doing. But Harmonic Resistance is always a good choice, since it only costs 1 energy instead of 2, in this case it's Solar Resistance. And for leg armor mods, I always run Better Already to start my health regeneration immediately when I pick up an orb. I also run Stacks on Stacks to get an extra charge with Light Stack when I pick up an orb, and then I run Solar Scavenger because when I use this, I almost never run out of ammo. And finally, for your class item, I like to run Double Bomber mods to help get my grenades back even faster. I'll also run a Reaper mod because you'll be getting your rifts back a lot using Starfire Protocol, and using this mod just guarantees that the next kill that you get after casting your rift will be generating an orb of power. Now for weapons, those really depend on what champion mods you're going to need to run. Obviously any solar weapon is going to be great due to Monochromatic Maestro, as I mentioned earlier. I always like using anything with Incandescent, since you can chain ignitions on big groups of enemies. For exotics, I like Sunshot or Parasite. Sunshot benefits from the Overload hand cannon mod and has amazing ad clear, and Parasite can almost one-shot champions. I also like Arbalest since it does good damage at range and it's anti-barrier. So with all that being said, I hope I changed your mind about Starfire Protocol. Let's give it a try and let me know what you think. I'm trying to create builds that make endgame content easier, so if you have any suggestions, feel free to comment below. Anyway, have a great day, Guardians. Adios.